And so it's probably the most anticipated ride of the year.
And now, coming to you from the K2 Studios in San Diego, California, it's the world-famous Chris and Christine Show.
Hey, what's happening, everybody? How you doing today? I am Chris.
And I'm Christine, and welcome to episode 35 of the Chris and Christine Show.
Yes! All right, we made it to number 35, Christine. High five to that. Kapow! Thank you for listening, everybody, and thank you, Christine, for being here on episode number 35. It is an honor and a privilege to have you on episode 35 with us.
Oh my gosh, you act like I'm not your co-host. You're a goofball today.
Of course. It's crazy because today happens to be Saturday, and what time is it now? What time is it today? Is it even noon yet?
It's 12:26.
12:26 in the afternoon.
Which is like a whole 10 hours earlier from what we normally record because the kids have learned how to entertain themselves so that we can record some snippets of the podcast during daylight.
Yeah, we're doing this podcast during the daylight hours, and we usually just record at night when the kiddos are asleep. It's kind of been our thing. When you got kids, and if you try doing a podcast, you kind of have to wait for the prime hours to actually do it. If you got Zoom meeting calls you got to do, you know what I'm talking about, right, Christine?
Right, exactly. And one of the things that Chris and I have been talking about is when we work best and when we get the most irritable. And we have determined that I, Christine, get the most irritable after the hour of 8 p.m. And so we're testing out some new approaches to podcasting to see if it helps us keep a happy, healthy, calm, chaos-free household by podcasting during the daylight hours. Right, Chris?
Yeah, right. And also it frees up our evenings to do more family activities because if you guys don't know, behind the scenes, like Saturday nights, sometimes Sunday nights, but mostly Saturday nights are pretty much filled with just podcasting and podcasting stuff.
Right, which takes away from being able to have a little bit more flexibility in the evening time because we want to get the kids back, get them to bed on time. It sometimes impacts being able to do movie night. And that's the thing is podcasting is a way that Chris and I connect in our relationship because with our schedule with kiddos, we have little ones and teenagers around every weekend. And so what that means is on our days off, we have little people around us, so we don't really get time alone. And so what we're trying to do is be more intentional about carving out time for each other, especially since we're together all the time now, right? Right.
And also we had to carve out time, especially for the podcast meetings we're going to start doing. Have our little window of time. Remember that, Christine? You said podcasting can only be discussed between these hours of this and that is it.
Okay, you make me sound like I'm some type of dictator, but actually... one thing that I don't know if I've shared this before, but I go to therapy and I think that it's a really healthy thing to do. It's like maintenance therapy. It helps me process through work stresses and things like that. And one of the things that I call her like my thinking partner because she really does help me think through things. And when I'm not showing up as my best self for Chris and in our relationship, I try to troubleshoot with her where that came from. And so this week I was reflecting on my extreme irritability and...
Oh, really?
Be nice, Chris. We're on the air.
Okay.
But I was reflecting on my extreme irritability, and we were kind of diagramming out where it might have stemmed from. And so one of the things that we surfaced is when I'm extremely tired, because I really am blurring the lines between work and life, or work and family life right now, is how to start having better scheduling and pockets of time for myself. So Chris is on this experiment with me over the next week to try and have a little bit of a cleaner schedule about when I do my regular work, when we do podcast work, and how we intentionally plan time for family and each other separate from podcasting. And so this is one of our aspects of our experiment, right, Chris?
Absolutely. And Christine, I don't know if you noticed this, but right now, as I'm listening to you talk, I do get a more of an energetic vibe from you coming off right now. Do you guys hear that too? Because I hear Christine is like full of energy. She's full of life.
I am a daytime person. I do sometimes stay up a little bit late till like 11:30 or midnight. But if I do that, then I drag the next morning. And so what I tried out last night, because I knew we were going to podcast, I was hoping we'd do it during the day, is I was in bed by 10:45, lights out by 11:15, And then I set an alarm clock to wake me up at 7 this morning because I had scheduled time to get a project done for school. It was my last project of the semester.
Yay!
And so we know that the kids, Jacob and Mason, come back from their mom's house between 9:30 and 9:45 on Saturday mornings. And so my pocket of time while Chris is sleeping and while I'm kid-free is 2 hours and 45 minutes to get stuff done for myself. And then I showered. And when the kids showed up, I was ready to go, and you were up, and we had coffee, and I love it. I love it so much.
And we discussed a little bit of podcasting talk.
Over coffee.
Over coffee. It's like our coffee wake up. Look at different things, discuss ideas. Like I'll have these brilliant ideas, and Christine too. Like this morning, she had a brilliant idea about the podcast.
Thank you.
And we'll share it with you guys later once we figure it all out because of our legal department. But once we get that figured out, Christine's going to have this brilliant, fun thing for you guys to participate in. And it's going to be fantastic.
Right. But what happened, the reason that productivity is able to happen is because we are figuring out how to create a better flow in our household because like so many other people, one of us, not both of us, but one of us is working from home and we have opposite schedules. So I work from home and my hours are 8 to 5 during the daytime. Chris's work hours, he leaves at 2:30 p.m. and he gets home anywhere from 1 to 3:30 a.m. And so his prime time is when I'm kind of
winding down.
And so that's one of the things that we've had to figure out is how do we help to protect that time when I'm winding down and he's gearing up so that we don't end up accidentally triggering each other because me, being tired and him being amped up. It's a recipe for disaster. So we're working on it, right?
Speaking of which, what time do we usually record? Like, what's the latest we've actually gone doing a podcast? Do you remember?
Yeah. So lately, we've been starting anywhere between 9 p.m. and 10:30 p.m. And that's starting recording.
That's like starting setting stuff up. Let's hit record. Let's give it a run through. And then we'd finish probably close to 12:30.
Right. Sometimes 1:30 in the morning, which then leaves us tired the next morning and irritable. Yeah. And so, it's just always, I think this is a good lesson for us and for anybody that is listening to think through whatever your hobbies are and your interests are, is to have a conversation around scheduling. And the way that the question that I keep asking for myself is, when am I my best version of myself? And when am I the most full of energy? And it's like 10 a.m. until 3:30 p.m. I'm like optimal high energy, and the other time
full throttle Christine.
Right. And then the earlier than that and later than that, I can still think and process. But if you get like more than 2 hours outside of that kind of wind down or gear up window, like if we're at 6 to 8 a.m. or at like 6 to 8 p.m. or later, it's just
Well, I think for me personally, even though I work a night shift, I'm not necessarily a night person. I'm more optimal during the middle of the day, I would say. Probably 1 p.m., I would say, in that range. Mm-hmm. Like right now, probably, because I love the daylight. And even though I work at night, and I guess I can handle it at night, but let me tell you, when it gets around midnight, I like hit a wall of tiredness. And it's like I need my second, third cup of coffee or whatever, Red Bull, whatever it is. Especially if they send me out really far. They send me out to the desert, which is like, I don't know, it's a 6-hour turnaround drive-wise. And they send me out late. Oh my goodness, coming back, I've had to like slap myself in the face many times, right. Windows down, just to make it back home because it's so tired. Because I get tired. I don't, like I said, even on my days off, I'll go to bed at a normal, like fairly normal.
Right. We try to get to bed before midnight as much as possible.
Around midnight or whatever. Mm-hmm. But some of the guys I work with that work night shift, they'll said they stay up like the entire night.
They keep their regular schedule.
Right. On their days off, they'll stay up till 4 a.m. or 3 a.m. I said, what are you doing at 3 a.m? There's nothing open. You can't go anywhere. You get, especially now, everything's closed. But when things were open, I mean, what are you going to be buying? You can't go to Home Depot at midnight. What are you going to be doing?
Right. And I think that's just an important factor for me to know too is, I always keep the house really quiet as much as possible when you're first waking up. And it's been, this week it's been harder because the kiddos started remote learning for school and their classroom time is from 9 to 10 a.m. And when you're working, you typically don't get out of bed until like 10:30. Now, you did wake up earlier. You have been waking up earlier the last couple of days.
I think it's a heat. We're getting this huge heat wave here in San Diego. It was like 90 or 85. It feels like summer.
Yesterday, it was 95.
I hate to brag, everybody, but I'm wearing shorts and not even have shoes on.
I know.
T-shirt, shorts. Christine's got t-shirt, short, no shoes on.
Tank top.
It's like the air conditioning is on. Wow, it's hot.
And so this afternoon, what we're going to do is we're going to celebrate the kids having a successful first week of online learning. It was really hard in our household, and the boys switch households on Tuesday afternoons. And so we were setting everything up on the front end of the week and getting their schedule written out so they could find success at the back end of the week and coordinating between the two households. But we got news from the other household that Mason, our littlest one.
Oh, yeah? What?
Yeah, he had the greatest amount of progress on his online learning app. It's called iReady. It's for reading and math, out of the entire second grade.
Wow.
And he spent the most hours dedicated to it. And that was part of our schedule, was trying to get him on track with his rhythm. And so one of the things that we're going to do with the two little ones is take them for a drive with the top down on the convertible.
All right. That sounds so exciting. Get the convertible, get Chantilly out, and put the top down on Chantilly. And that, I love driving around in the convertible.
I know. And
especially like a day like today.
I know. And I think that even though the beaches are closed, as long as we don't stop, because that's the thing is we can have the top down, and as long as we're not close to other people, we're safe, they're safe. And we won't put the top down on the freeway, but I think that maybe we could go drive along some of the beaches and have a nice view of the ocean. I mean, it's a beautiful day. We can maybe even pack some water bottles.
Do you think I should bust out the old GoPro? I have a couple GoPro cameras. I haven't used those in years, but I used to use them
years. You're so funny.
No, seriously.
Months.
It's been, maybe months, but it's been a while. I've got like, two GoPros now. I had like a bunch. I sold some, but I've got two of the new ones now, the GoPro cameras, and I haven't used them in a while, but maybe we should break those things out. You know?
I think you should. And I think that taking some still photos would be great, because I think that it can be all added into the special project that you're working on for the boys. Do you want to tell everybody about what you're going to do for them for this rest of the school year?
What am I going to do? I don't remember.
The special thing that has to do with photos that you're going to put into, I'm giving you some hand motions here.
Oh, right. Christine's give me some clues. I was kind of having a brain fart. But should I tell them?
Yeah, tell them.
Are you sure?
Yes.
Are you sure? We can
Come on, do it.
Have our lawyer said we can talk about
You're
this?
so funny. I think it's a great idea. I know that the kids do listen to the episodes, so they'll find out. But it's something really fun that Chris came up with to do for the kids that we would love it if you did too.
Okay, so I bet you everybody listening, your kids are probably home on homeschooling, or what do you call it? The away from
remote learning.
Remote learning thing, right? Which means that you're probably not going to have the same experiences at school as you normally would throughout a normal school year, including there's one thing that happens every single year at every single school that they hand out at the end of the year, and that is that is the school yearbook.
Yes.
Now, they're probably not going to have one because the schools are closed, right? So I decided, why don't we create our own homeschool yearbook? Because I think Costco or some places, they'll do it online, get you the whole printout, make it nice and neat. And you put the pictures in there, and you write everything out there, and you can have it for the kids to use during for the thing, you know?
Yeah, and I think that that's mostly for middle and elementary school, because high schools, all of their photos are done, and all of their fall sports would have been in already. And actually, most of their spring sports, they would have taken pictures of. And so I think that if you're an elementary or middle school parent, this would be a really fun thing to do. And you could do photo books through Walgreens. We're going to explore options. We'll talk about it as we go on. But Chris has a whole plan to do like full on school photos here at home.
Yeah, just get your phone out, take a picture of it, upload all the photos. I think you can capture them. I mean, do captions underneath the pictures in the book of like high school clown or high school clown or valedictorian or whatever it could be. You make up your own list of fun activities, and you take the pictures of you guys learning and you guys having fun at home, and you put it into a book, and you call it the homeschool yearbook.
And we're going to do it including all three of the boys and their experiences, because they've been learning lots of fun different things, whether it's from building a fort out in the backyard to really big milestones with Legos to accomplishing new challenges when it comes to like Fortnite and things like that. And baking. I mean, the list is endless. So we're going to have like a home economics section and it'll just be great. And we're really excited about it. And another thing that we're really excited about is we have a special guest that is coming to us on the show today. He is a fascinating individual and a family man, and you are going to love him. And we are going to get into that interview right after this.
Hey there, K2 crew. We love having you as our loyal listeners.
To keep up to date with what's happening behind the scenes, check us out on social media.
Yeah, you can find us on Instagram and Twitter.
And don't forget to follow our Facebook page.
Yeah, tag us in your favorite fun stories, and guess what? You might just end up on the show.
Ooh. And welcome back, everybody. Today on the show, we have a very special guest from the Midwest. He is a tech genius, world traveler, theme park enthusiast, and super dad. I met this rock star just over 20 years ago during my first solo time living away from home. He was a great friend then and to this day. Welcome to the show, James Larson.
Hey, thanks for having me on.
Yeah, thanks so much for joining us today. Now, you are in the Midwest, but more specifically, that's kind of a vague term.
Yeah, where are you actually located?
I am in Kansas City, specifically Overland Park, Kansas, which is on the Kansas side of Kansas City. So whenever people think of Kansas City, they usually think of Missouri. But yeah, I'm on the Kansas side.
Oh, really? So is that where the Chiefs play?
They play in Kansas City, but they're on the Missouri side. So
I had no idea.
Okay, now I have a question for you. So you just mentioned Kansas City, Kansas, and Kansas City, Missouri. Is there a rivalry? Because it's like the same town, but two states, right?
They're technically completely different cities with their own different governments, but oh my gosh, there is such a rivalry. I grew up on the Missouri side, and I thought the Kansas people were like really weird. And now that I live on the Kansas side, strangely enough, I kind of think the Missouri people are really weird.
Really?
It must just come with living here.
It's like West Side Story right there, like
right.
Different sides of town, rival groups.
Yeah, perhaps. I don't know.
Well, we have some fun questions for you today, James. But first, we're going to do a little bit of a throwback into some college memories. So I think that all of our listeners should know James and I met in the year 1999, almost 2000.
Wow.
Well,
it's like 20 years ago.
Oh my gosh. Or was it
now
2000?
You're making me feel old.
And we met at this tiny Christian university that I went to for 1 year.
Okay.
But James, you went for your entire education. Is that correct?
Yeah, I did. I did 4 years there, and then I actually ended up staying in that area for like an additional 8 years after graduating. So,
what part of the country was that at?
That's Springfield, Missouri. So, I mean, that is like when you hear the Ozarks, like Springfield is the center of the Ozarks.
Oh, really? Is that related to The Simpsons, Springfield?
Yeah, from what I understand, like Springfield, like they took like aspects of all the 36 different Springfields that they are. And so like there were certain episodes that took things from that Springfield, but yeah, it was kind of funny.
Now, I moved to Springfield my sophomore year of college, and you were a year or two ahead of me, I think, in terms of where you were at in your schooling. But I remember going to Springfield and being from a really small town and being like, oh my gosh, I'm in a big city. How was it for you?
Oh, I felt the opposite. I felt like Springfield was a really small city. And what's funny is that Kansas City is not even that big of a city, but Springfield's just so much smaller. I mean, it's like what, 4 exits along the highway as you drive through it versus, big cities or, 20, 30.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so we went to, for all of our listeners, we went to this university called Evangel, and it's in the middle of the Bible Belt and super conservative. And James, you and I met in my first couple of weeks there, and I view you as one of my first real friends at Evangel.
Oh, you guys are buddies.
Yeah, buddies. I mean, we kind of lost touch for a number of years, but I have done something for the purposes of this show, James. I went into the Christine archives to pull out...
Oh, yes, she did. Let me tell you.
Yeah, to pull out some photos.
Well, I know you can't see him because we're on the podcast, but she's holding up right now some pictures, and she's going to walk us through some of your photos from your past. Are you ready for this, dude?
I don't know if I am, but let's go.
Okay, so the first one, and I wanted you to talk about this memory, happens to be you standing on a stage with one of our friends from concert choir. You're wearing a white button-up shirt, a red belt that kind of looks like a pirate belt, and black pants, and the label on it is opera scenes. Opera scenes. Does that bring up a memory for you?
Oh my goodness, yes, that was horrible. I took this class for 1 month, and the whole purpose of the class was like each person had to put on one scene from an opera. And I mean, I think looking back, I enjoyed it at the time, but man, that was a weird thing because I wasn't a music major at the time. I just really liked music, and so, what strange thing to do than just go do opera.
And do you remember what opera scene or what opera you focused on for that?
I don't.
Wait, you actually sang opera songs?
Yes.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
Wow.
like each person or a partner would act out a complete scene, and they had this school had like the tiniest little theater, maybe sat like 100 people at the most.
Right.
And yeah, I remember my scene was like I came from the back of this auditorium walking through the people to get up on stage, and
That sounds pretty cool, though. That sounds kind of
Yeah,
like a
it was
boss,
pretty cool.
walking through there like, hey, check me out.
Well, I do happen to remember what this specific opera scene was because I was in it, off to the fringe, but I was one of the chorus girls, and it was Pirates of Penzance.
Ooh, fancy pants.
See, I don't remember this at all.
And I have pictures. You will be getting copies of them sent to you via email.
Or social media blasted so everybody can enjoy.
Oh, I'm all about having the embarrassing pictures. You've reached that age where you have to acknowledge how ridiculous you were in your youth.
Yes. Okay, so going off of the music theme, James, I have a group photo. Now, I happen to not be in my dress, but you are in a tuxedo, and there's a whole bunch of gals that are standing in it. One of them is Bethany, our dear friend, Sarah, and a couple of others. We're in our sparkly dresses. You're in your tux, and there is an auditorium in the background. Looks like we just got done singing. Do you happen to know what that might have been about?
Oh, that could have been any number of places because we went on those tours that were. Which tour were you on?
I went, so we were in a traveling concert choir together, and I was on the Alabama, Arkansas, Oklahoma, Mississippi, and Florida Panhandle tour.
Oh, yeah.
Now,
Yeah, I have no idea. I mean, like each one of those tours, you'd have like 8 to 10 stops.
How far would you
And-
go? Like, you travel, how many miles was it?
Well, it depends. Like some years when I was in it, we would have a tour that was an entire 4 weeks long, and we'd cover like 8,000 miles. The longest one I went on, we went from Springfield all the way out to LA, all the way up to Seattle, and then made our way back.
Was
So,
that
I mean,
all
these things were
on a bus?
All on a bus.
Fun times.
It was
Greyhound, huh?
horrible. Like looking back, I would never do that, but it was so much fun doing it then.
it was so much fun. So I remember we went on this 2-week kind of spring break loop. And I think that this photo was it looks like it was one of the places in Oklahoma that I remember. But we would stop, Chris, we would go to these different churches primarily that we would sing in. And then and then the church members would host us in their homes if we weren't
Wait, in your home? Wait,
in their homes.
you would actually perform for them live in their living room?
No, we'd perform at an auditorium, and then we would stay the night at these very kind strangers' homes.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and you either like struck gold and had like the most awesome family, or you had like the get me out of here as quickly as possible family.
You sleeping in the barn? That's what you're sleeping?
Basically, I did sleep in a outhouse that had no air conditioning one time.
Like an actual porta potty?
No, so like just like a house outside of it. So
Okay.
like basically, think of a shed that they set up a bed in.
Okay. Like a she shed.
Yeah.
I do remember that staying with one of those very dear families, it was an elderly couple, was my first ever experience eating grits in the actual South of the United States. So did you have any weird experiences when you were on tour with concert choir?
Oh, so many foods that I would never eat again.
All home cooked, right?
Parts of, yeah, all cooked, but like parts of animals that I don't think should be eaten, but people
Really?
do. Yeah,
Really?
or parts of animals that people convince you that are really normal for people to eat, and then you eat it, and then they tell you you're the butt of a joke.
Yeah. Well, I just wanted to share some of those fun college memories. I have a bunch of other photos of us bowling, going out to eat at Ruby Tuesdays and other restaurants across the street
Total
from school.
BFFs.
And with different groups. But all that to say, and I don't think I've ever done this, but thank you for being my very first friend when I was branching out on my own, feeling lonely. You were and continue to be one of the kindest people I've ever met.
Oh, thank you.
My
So
pleasure.
always try.
Aw. So speaking of Evangel, what did you actually major in college?
Wasn't choir, was it?
Well, it started out that way. I started out as a music education major, and then I discovered I had no hope of ever being able to play the piano. So I switched to computer science. And my dad kind of pressured that. My dad basically, gave me the ultimatum of, I'll pay for you getting a degree I think is useful. I won't pay for something that I don't think is. And looking back, it was probably the right thing. Because, I mean, my real talent was working in technology. So it kind of forced me to make the decision towards doing something more lucrative and that has more of a career for me.
Of course.
So I do remember you being super tech savvy. Has that transitioned you into a career in the tech industry?
Honestly, yeah. What I do now is basically an extension of what I did at Evangel, just on a larger scale. Back at Evangel, like when we were there, the whole campus had like 1.5 megs of internet access. So like not enough to even
everybody?
watch a Netflix stream for split up across 1,000 people. And so like we had this project to make that a big 10 megs and then give everyone internet access. And now I don't have a site in my company that has less than, or has anything less than 10 times that. So it's,
Speaking of which, what do you broadcast? What is your home internet? How fast are you at home?
So I have cable, but I've got like 960 down and 40 up.
Whoa!
Not great, because like if I live like two blocks north of me, they have Google Fiber, and but I live in a neighborhood that Google said we're not going to be cabling you because your houses are too far apart. And so, but they've got 1 gig up, 1 gig down, and it's incredible. And they only pay like $50 a month.
Well, that is something that we've been wrestling with, especially now that we have the kids engaging in at-home learning and we're all on simultaneous Zoom calls. So Chris just had AT&T as our provider come out and upgrade our internet to a whopping, what was it, like 75, Chris?
Right. I think the problem is that I think it's fiber to the streets, and from where our house is at, it's like a block behind the nearest box, and from that box to the neighborhood, it's copper. So they can only do it's not quite DSL, but it's like a combination of both. You know what I'm talking about?
Yep. Yeah. They have that technology around here. It's actually an option here, but we opted to go with the cable company system.
Okay.
But I mean, they both have their benefits. Our problem is that now with the whole neighborhood working from home, like we never actually see our full gig, but at least it's been reliable. I don't know what people around here would have done without good, reliable internet access.
Dial up.
Everyone here is working from home. Well,
I do remember how it was in college, and I don't think that I've shared this with you before, Chris, but how it was set up is we had dorm floors, and at the end, if we were lucky, we had a bank of 4 or 5 computers that we could log into, and we could do it was AOL IMing at that time.
Perfect.
Or there was like 2 computer labs on campus where you could go and like on the DL, like make we didn't do mixtapes, but it was like burn CDs with like compilation CDs.
You were allowed to do that on campus?
Well, I don't want to incriminate myself. I don't know if we were allowed to, but I did.
Yeah, I don't think we were, but I think we kind of set people up with some access that they probably shouldn't have had.
Right.
I mean, this school, I mean, I love my experience there, but they were so strict.
Right.
So ridiculous about things, like looking back. Such a bubble.
Right. Like only certain days of the week when you could have individuals from the opposite gender in your dorm room, but the dorm room door had to stay 90 degrees open. One person could sit on the bed, but the other person could be at the desk and both feet firmly planted. Like, those are the rules, Chris.
Oh, okay. Well, okay. We'll enjoy that. That sounds like a wonderful time.
Yeah.
You know?
It's so strange. Like I want to know if it's still like that there, but at the same time, I don't really want to go back.
I bet everybody's on this high-speed Wi-Fi now. Everything's Wi-Fi, everything's wireless, everything's... Hey, speaking of gadgets and things like that, you say you're pretty tech-savvy. Are you the kind of guy that has to always land into the newest phone or tablet or computer?
Yes.
Oh,
No, with working in tech, so, like, that's actually kind of good because I can usually use that as an excuse to get my company to pay for me to have.
well, there you go.
Because the idea is, our executives are going to want to have this latest, greatest. So at least somebody needs to have one to test it out and make sure it works. So yeah, I always have the latest iPad, iPhone, and then when the next one comes out, I buy whatever the residual value of the old one is, and then give it to my kids.
So it sounds like you have a pretty sweet gig when you talk about the company and the executives wanting it. What is it that you actually do within the tech space now?
So I operate as an IT architect for a reinsurance company. It's basically insurance for insurance. Really a strange industry, but our company is our headquarters in Paris, France, and we have locations through about 37 different countries. And so I help manage. I'm one of the managers within the IT group there.
So what does an IT architect do versus like a regular building architect, if you could draw that parallel?
So yeah, if you think of like say somebody has a new system or something new that they want to accomplish, there's you have like the programmers and people that will come together and write up requirements. Well, at the same time, somebody has to look at this is what this application is going to do, and we have to figure out what it's going to run on. So like when we actually talk like the actual physical servers, or if it's hosted somewhere in the cloud, and things like that. And so that's what my group's responsible for, is basically figuring out where we can meet capacity, make it optimal for the company, and think about weird things like latency across the globe, because if we've got somebody in Australia trying to access something in the US, it takes a long time for things to get over the internet there.
Yeah, I was kind of wondering about that because with everybody being home and Zoom, their stock has like gone skyrocketed. Everybody's using Zoom meetings for all of their stuff. Do you find problems with that software, like crashing or trying to figure out new ways to make it, like you said, latency, to kind of fix those kind of problems? You know what I'm saying?
So a lot of the newer technologies do a really good job with latency. Like at our company, we use Microsoft stuff for everything. So Microsoft has their old Skype, and it's terrible. But now they have Teams, and Teams does a really good job of accounting for latency. And so, actually was in a call all night 2 nights ago with people from our Singapore office, and as well as people from our Mumbai office. And it's real time. You don't really feel the fact that there is, they are on literally the opposite side of the globe. Modern technology is amazing, and what Zoom and Microsoft and WebEx have done in the last 8 weeks it's incredible. Some of these companies have grown their infrastructure on a scale of 10 to 50 times.
Wow.
In a short period, just to accommodate all these people working from home.
Of course.
Yeah, that's crazy. Now, you mentioned Mumbai and Singapore and that your company is based in Paris. So do you get to, for work purposes, travel a lot internationally typically?
Yes, I do. Well, I did. We'll see how this current situation affects that in the future. But normally I would travel about 12 to 15 times a year to one of our different offices. Very rarely in the United States. So we have several offices in the U.S., but typically my trips are to Paris, London, Zurich, and Singapore.
So with that being said, do you speak any other languages?
No, and I feel like I'm less fluent in like understanding other languages than I was before, mostly because our company, like everything is English. So everyone has to speak
good.
English. All contracts are in
Good for
English.
them. Good for them, I gotta say, But if not, I guess you can pull up the old Google Translate app on your phone.
Oh my gosh, I live on that. Like I pretty much always have that or the Microsoft translator open all the time because I'm getting emails in
really?
French all the time.
Oh, wow. So you just click on it and automatically translate it for you?
Yeah, and it's actually some of these are fairly accurate.
But what does it do about the? Cause no, in English we have a lot of slang terms that they don't adjust for on their end. How's that figure that out?
They're getting better. So sometimes I'll be like, "Is that really what you meant to say?" And
Right.
They'll come back with me because the nice thing is that even if that email was written in another language, I can always go back to the person and ask for some clarification on something.
That's awesome.
Or it's an opportunity to play the dumb American and be like, oh, I don't understand that.
Oh, that's awesome. It sounds like you have a super interesting job. And we always love hearing about different types of careers, especially that are so different from Chris and I. But we want to know a little bit more about some of your unique interests. And we know you're all grown up from college and a big family guy now. And I have heard and I've seen on social media that your family has a really unique hobby that has to do with amusement parks. How did you get started with your theme park enthusiast facet of your life?
Yeah, so it's kind of funny. As a kid, personally, I always loved riding roller coasters and going to theme parks. I mean, I probably had only been to like 3 or 4 of them as a kid. And then after we got married, my wife and I went on a vacation one summer, and I got sick right after the first ride. And so
really?
I took about an 8-year absence from doing anything. But then my son came along, and he discovered, even in the earlier days of YouTube, he discovered roller coaster videos.
Oh yeah,
on
I
YouTube,
love those.
and he loved watching them. And so then once so it became something of, once he could go to Silver Dollar City, which is a really good theme park that's in Springfield, Missouri, or near Springfield, Missouri, I would go with them. I would take as much Dramamine as I could, and I would ride the rides with him. And it was fun to watch him, enjoy that. And then as my daughter got older, she would ride, and then we would just stick to the amusement parks that are near us. And then one time, I got an email from this organization called American Coaster Enthusiasts, and we joined as a family because they were having a convention nearby, and we went to this convention at again Silver Dollar City.
Okay.
And I got to meet all these other people from around the world that had come in just to, there was a brand new roller coaster that had opened up there, and it was just fun. It was people that had similar interests. Sometimes some of them took it way further than I did, but then slowly all of my kids just absolutely loved it, and we found it as a reason to we go on trips looking for what theme parks can we hit along the way, and
That's awesome.
Still have fun.
Now, when you said your kids started doing it, at what age was it? When they hit the height requirement, or were they at a certain age they started doing it?
Height requirement. So for my oldest, it was more of once we actually took him, I think at age 4. But my youngest, he rode his first kids coaster at about 2.
Yeah, mine too. Have you ever been out to Disneyland out here?
Yes. That was probably my son's very first amusement park to go to.
Now, what do you think of the Disneyland roller coasters? Are they too tame for you? You think, or you kind of over them?
For me, yeah, I would say that I'm over them, but they do some really cool things. And they've got some new ones coming, like at Disneyland and Disney World, that make me actually want to go back to them.
They're more for like the more entertainment factor, I believe, embodied with the coaster, not just thrill and like make you vomit. You know what I mean?
Yeah, and it took me a while as an enthusiast to figure out, there is a place for something that's not just gonna make you be terrified. It's something that's just fun or has a great theme around it. And so there's definitely two sides of the amusement industry. And while I tend to be more of the thrill seeking side, I do have an appreciation for the others.
That's awesome. Now, you mentioned something a minute ago that I wanted to ask about. You said roller coaster enthusiast convention. Now, in San Diego, every year, we have this thing called Comic-Con, and it's like all of the people that really nerd out.
Maybe you've heard of it. I don't know.
Yeah.
This little thing.
Yeah, they nerd out on things related to, well, everything related to comics. Is it kind of like that at your coaster conventions? And if so, like, what's that experience like?
It's kind of like that, except, not nearly as big of a scale. I mean, at one of these, they'd be lucky to have 200, 300 people show up to these conventions. But if it's hosted by a park, like if it's a convention that's in season, it'll usually end up being like a couple meetings in the morning or in the evening. And then people get to ride rides all day. And then when the park closes, everyone that's part of the convention gets a special pass to stay after for what we call ERT, which is extended ride time. So that's when like a coaster would be open just for your group.
I did that once. At Magic Mountain here in LA area. It's a Six Flags theme park.
Oh, I love Magic Mountain.
And they opened the new Superman ride. It was one that shot you out real fast and like shot you up and dropped you back down like in a car. And when I had a season pass one year, and I bought a season pass, and with the season pass, they promised you that you will get to experience that new ride kind of like that during that year. Well, it was a late open, so what they did was like the following off season, like it was January or whatever, for like a single day, they let pass holders come up there just to ride that one ride like once or whatever. So we all got to go up there just for the Saturday, just to ride that ride like once or twice, and that was it. It was kind of fun, kind of the same thing.
Yep, that's exactly what it is. And it's a blast because if it's a smaller convention, so like for example, last summer I did an event that was at this park in Pennsylvania called Kennywood, and there were only 30 of us, and we had this ride for 2 hours. And with 30 people and a park or a ride that only seats 32, nobody ever got off. What we would just do is just get up and switch seats. And so I think we rode it like 50 times in a row. It was amazing.
So with your love of amusement parks, is there like a grading system? So I used to do like indoor rock climbing, and with all the different surfaces, there's like different levels of difficulty or complexity. Do you guys have a ranking system for roller coasters?
Oh, it's such a subjective thing. I mean, everybody has like their, this is my top 10 roller coasters. And, no two people in the entire enthusiast community would have the same top 10 because everybody, depending on your size, certain roller coasters may ride differently. If you're fat, the restraint might hurt you more if you're skinny. And
I guess you can't be fat.
Or if you're tall, you might bang your head more. And so it's one of those things that's completely subjective. I mean, there are ranks and awards that are given every year to the what are considered the best coasters, but those are usually just what people think and averaged out. And you don't have to agree with that.
Well, isn't there like a ranking? I know some theme parks have a ranking of difficulty level. You know what I'm saying? Like this is the 5, this is the 1,
Oh yeah. Especially like your Six Flags and your SeaWorlds, they'll have a ranking of, that says, this is an extreme thrill ride, this is an aggressive ride. But so the same ride at two different Six Flags parks might have a different rating. And so it's one of those things that just kind of depends on the audience of the theme park. So
we have a very important question for you. You are our resident expert on amusement parks and on roller coasters. Now, with much of the country on a shelter-in-place order, we know that people are feeling cooped up. The thing that we know is going to happen after the quarantines are over is everybody wanting to be outdoors. Amusement parks will eventually start to reopen. What would be your top 4 or 5 must-visit amusement parks for other roller coaster enthusiasts?
So it changes every year, but so this year the one to go to once everything opens is going to be Busch Gardens in Tampa.
I've heard of it.
they have a new roller coaster that is actually an old roller coaster that's been redone, and it was supposed to open literally like the day that they ended up shutting down the park for the shelter in place. And so it's probably the most anticipated ride of the year. But and I've been there before. It's a fantastic park. But then there's Cedar Point. It's located in Sandusky, Ohio. I mean, I think this entire city is built around this theme park. It's a peninsula that is just covered in roller coasters. I believe they have 18 roller coasters.
Wow.
There, and they're all pretty big ones. I think they only 2 of those are kids coasters. My first visit was this last year, and we actually have a plan that as soon as the parks open up, we're going to go back to Cedar Point, as long as we feel like it's safe. Also up there, Magic Mountain, which you already mentioned.
Yes.
That's just a great park.
I think they got the same thing. They were just like every year they were just busting out a new roller coaster. Like, where'd they come that one? And where do you find some room on the land to put that thing? Because they're just stacking them on top of stacking them.
Oh yeah, that place is insane. How many they have in there?
Now I'm wondering, as we're talking, we have these essential industries that are allowed to continue working, and construction is one of them. I wonder if theme park construction would fall under essential, and if so, what these theme parks have planned for us when they reopen.
I think that it depends on the state. Like, so there's a roller coaster under construction in New Jersey that I've been following, and at the beginning of all of these lockdowns, construction in general was considered a essential service, and then they discovered, they're still building roller coasters. That's not exactly essential. And so the governor of New Jersey actually made a very specific call out to, this is the type of construction that is essential. So like most of the theme parks, all construction has completely ceased.
Oh man.
And so
I think so, yeah.
It's like,
and it's going to be
Go ahead.
It's going to be a tough few years for the theme park industry. They're going to hurt for a while, and so it's going to be a few years of probably not a lot of new things.
Oh, that's unfortunate, because they bring so much joy to so many families, and all of our thoughts go out to the entire theme park community and amusement park community, as well as everybody else that's kind of lost work for right now. But thank you for sharing about your love of amusement parks. And I do have something else I would like to know a little bit more about, because I think this will be of particular interest to Chris.
What's that?
So, James, you just celebrated a big birthday a couple of weeks ago, correct?
Yes.
Okay.
I turned 40.
That's a big birthday.
This guy.
But I saw that you bought yourself a legendary birthday present. What was that?
Yeah, so I bought myself a BMW M Roadster.
What? An M car?
Yeah, it's what's funny is that right after my wife and I got married, we bought a 2001 BMW M Roadster.
Okay.
And so about 4 months after we bought it, she ended up pregnant, and I ended up selling it, and we got a minivan. So it was like going from this completely awesome car.
That's not fair at all, man.
Well, that was the deal I made. I just didn't, think about the timing. And so once I turned 40, I talked to my wife, and it was actually kind of a funny way of convincing her and getting her to agree with it, because one of the things that I said that I will do if you let me buy this new car is I'll get our garage doors fixed. Because my wife had over the like almost 2 years ago had backed in within a matter of a month, had backed into both of our garage doors and breaking both of them from being able to work with the garage opener.
Oh no.
But sometimes husbands get really stubborn about silly things or just want to do things to be funny, and so we just didn't fix it, and we made it a thing where you had to get out. So once it came time for me wanting a new car, it was that was my one bargaining chip, is that we'll get the garage doors fixed if you let me get this new car.
Oh, that sounds so fun. And Chris loves cars. So when I saw that coming up on social media, I was like, I have to ask James about that. What's the story behind it?
It's a fun car. I had wanted and actually had a deposit on a 2020 Corvette. And
was that the C8?
Just with the economy, I decided, I was like, this is probably not the time to be spending that much money on a car. And so we got, the M Roadster was a lot more affordable. And,
Really? I thought it was going to get up there.
I mean, it's an older one, but it's in pristine condition. It only has like 25,000 miles on it, and it's 12 years old.
Oh, wow. Is that the one with a V8 or the straight six?
It's a straight six. So
is it the M4 that has a V8 you can get?
Yeah, I think so. I think the M4 has it. So this is basically, it's the Z4, just in a Roadster version. Or the Z4 just with the M equipment.
Is that like the new Supra then?
Yes. Yeah, so it's basically the same thing as the new Supra, except the Supra doesn't have convertible.
Oh, okay.
That's so awesome. Well, I saw on your post when you had brought it home and you were putting on some kind of a clear coat and clay barring it. I was telling Chris, because those are the things that he does with his Nissan 370Z.
Yeah, it's been a while though, so let me tell you.
But I was like, oh.
I had never done anything like that. And we're all stuck at home. We have this fantastic tool called YouTube where everyone has filmed themselves doing these random things, and so you can teach yourself how to do these things. And so I have never detailed, but I figured out exactly what I needed to buy, and I detailed out the car, and then eventually did the full ceramic treatment on it.
That's so fun. Well, James, thank you so much for being with us today. Where can our listeners find your family's theme park adventures on Twitter and YouTube?
Yeah, so on Twitter, we are at Larson Loopers, LarsonLoopers, and we're actually the same on YouTube.
That's awesome. And I saw that you have not just theme park adventures, but some of your global travels, like your most recent trip to the Maldives and other things too, right?
Yeah, I've found that videotaping things and putting them up online, it's just kind of fun. And it's just something neat to do, and I think YouTube videos will become like the new family movies.
Definitely. And so for all of you that are staying at home right now, trying to think about where you want to go and travel once we are out of this shelter-in-place/quarantine state of affairs, log on to Larson Loopers on YouTube, take a look at some of their adventures, and chart out what the next adventures are for you and your family. And thanks so much, James, for being with us today.
Oh, thanks for having me.
Thanks, James.
Hey guys, what's up? It's the J-Boy Show. I'm Ezekiel.
And I'm Jacob. And I'm Mason.
And don't forget to listen to our new podcast on Apple Podcasts.
And don't forget to subscribe.
It's a lot of fun.
Yes, it is.
We talk about sports, motors, engines, and all kinds of stuff.
And YouTubers.
And YouTubers. So don't forget to subscribe and listen in every Sunday.
All right, and keep moving forward.
Forward.
Hey, well, that was a nice little interview, wasn't it, Christine?
It was so much fun catching up with my friend James from college. And, like I've told you before, Chris, out of all of my college experience, going to Evangel was like my favorite college memory. I wish that I would have been able to stay there longer, but I got sick and had to come home.
Oh, now, you and James, you guys never dated, did you?
No, we were just like brother and sister. We were really good friends.
Oh, that's fantastic. Mm-hmm. Okay, everybody. Now, coming up next, we have for you guys, this is when we bring the show back to you guys. This is our official Shout Out Central.
Woohoo! And we hit a big milestone this week that we want to celebrate with you all. Our reach is expanding in the podcast, and we hit a new mark of having 20 countries as listeners.
Whoa, 20 countries around the world.
Yes. Now, not all of them listen every week, but we always keep track of it. Like I've said before, we have this little map that we like to scratch off. So we're going to be scratching off our new country of the week, which is Poland.
Hey there, Poland. Thank you for listening. We really appreciate this.
We do. And thank you so much for our listeners from Spain, Ireland, Canada, and all over the United States, which I think that we are at 37 or 38 states in our country so far.
It's starting getting hard to keep track of all this stuff.
I know.
But we're gonna shout out a few of the new ones that popped up that I just noticed this week. And the first one I got on my list is shout out to North Hollywood, California.
Woohoo!
Thank you to all the movie stars that are listening to our podcast. We really appreciate that. And next one we got on the list is thank you, Joplin, Missouri.
Ooh, I used to go to Joplin a lot when I was in college, when I went to school with James, because when I would come back from the airport in Kansas City, you had to drive through Joplin on your way to Springfield.
Oh, well, thank you, Joplin, for listening. We really appreciate you. Now, next we got is New Alexandria from Pennsylvania.
Woohoo!
thank you for listening. That's a new
Yes.
city we noticed. And last one I got on my list is this place. I'm assuming they like it really hot, super hot, that they named their town Burnsville, Minnesota.
Do you think that it's super hot, or they just like to be sarcastic and they like to burn people? Like, oh, that was a good burn.
That's horrible. That's horrible. Like physically put someone on fire?
No, burning like a burn joke. Like, you know.
Oh, okay. I get you.
Sarcasm.
I don't know, but Burnsville, thank you for listening. We really appreciate you.
Definitely. And this has been another great episode. Thank you all for sticking with us. Definitely check us out on our link tree. You can find that link on our Instagram account, which is K2 Show San Diego. You can find us on Twitter at K2 Show San Diego. Find our Facebook page, The Chris and Christine Show. Definitely subscribe, follow, and share. And we just appreciate you so much. Right, Chris?
We sure do. And we will see you guys next week.
Remember this week that life is too short to wake up in the morning with regret.
So love the people who treat you right, forget about the ones who don't, and believe that everything happens for a reason.
If you get a chance, take it. If it changes your life, let it. Nobody said that it would be easy.
They just promised it would be worth it. Thanks so much for joining us. I'm Chris.
And I'm Christine, and until next week,
Keep moving forward.